Welcome back to the Bluegrass this beautiful June afternoon. I'm out with Albert. Albert is a Goldendoodle, we think. You know, what I say in the dog business is it's always a question of mama's baby, daddy's maybe, but that's what we're going with. He's a Goldendoodle, and he's out here because he's bit some people, right? Okay, so this is the second part of our video series, understanding and preventing reactivity problems in puppies and dogs. All right, so now when I get a dog like this, so this is the Goldendoodle. Remember from the last video we were talking about a Malinois puppy. I'm fixing to let him out in a second. When I get a dog like this, I mean, you can obviously like spend 2 minutes around Albert and know that he's a little bit on the worried side, right? Any kind of noise scares him. If you close a door too fast or you move too fast or you reach over his head, he kind of cowers and tucks his tail. Part of that is because he didn't have proper socialization and basic obedience during his formative stages, and part of it is that, you know, that's kind of common for these various poodle crosses, okay? So I have this one here. I have a German Shepherd poodle cross over there in the kennel. I have some kind of multi-generational doodle cross, and they're all a little bit on the nervous and scared side. Okay, so right off the bat, guys, like I told you in the other video, pick the right dog. Pick a confident, outgoing, affable dog if you want to completely avoid reactivity problems. But if you're going to pick this kind of dog, and Alfred was a rescue, so if you're going to rescue this kind of dog, let's go ahead and look at what's going on and see like where the stuff starts. And then what we can do to, maybe help a little bit. Okay, so where does it start with Alfred? Poor socialization, poor basic obedience in the early developmental stages. And then number two, Alfred, he has some issues. So whenever I get a dog here and like they're a little bit snappy or a little bit afraid of things, I always just start looking at them. One of the things you'll notice a lot with these various types of doodles is that there's behavior, like misbehavior spikes in between groomings when their hair starts to interfere with their eyesight. Okay, so that's one of the things we always like to do. So this dog today, we'll be cutting his hair back around his eyes, make sure he gets a good field of vision, right? And the other thing is we like to look in their ears. Now I'm gonna have to kind of put an improvised muzzle on this dog for a second so I can look in his ear because he tried to bite me earlier when I did. And so when we look in their ears, we notice that this dog, he's got a lot of hair in there. His ears are a little bit on the dirty side, and that kind of explains why, he doesn't want you reaching over his head because he's maybe a little bit afraid that you're gonna, touch his ears, and his ears are uncomfortable, Now, so supposedly this dog has some food allergies that are manifesting in ear problems. My experience with these doodles is that it's not usually allergies that cause them to have ear problems. It's just a lack of maintenance, like a lack of weekly cleaning. So we're gonna go to cleaning and drying these ears every week. Okay, now another thing, let me put this improvised muzzle back on him for just a second. Another thing Alfred's really worried about, he doesn't like you touching his feet, and he doesn't like you, like see, look, I go to touching him in his rear end here, okay? Now, part of this is just a, natural reaction from a dog to say, well, these are my private parts, and I'm very vulnerable in the back end and in my feet. So, all dogs can be a little weird about that. Now, sometimes though, what you'll have is you'll have some discomfort somewhere in this structure back here, okay? So we want to kind of keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't carry a leg when he's running and he gets tired. We want to take a look at his privates, make sure he doesn't have any infections. Make sure he doesn't have anything going on there, real kind of crazy. Okay, all right, that's pretty good. I'll take that improvised muzzle off of him. And so now, the focus of today's video is what we do for kind of the first week that we have a reactive or aggressive dog, sometimes maybe 2 weeks, okay? Is we just let them run around, okay? So this is going to be the adult version of the dog in this video series. Now I'm going to go in there and get the Malinois puppy out, and I'm going to introduce him to you, and then I'm going to show you my plan of action from Jump Street. Okay, all right, good boy. All right, so I went in the kennel and I got Beaux. Beaux is about a 17-week-old Malinois puppy, and Beaux is awesome. He likes to eat, he likes to tug, he likes to chase a ball, he loves attention, okay? So he's really great. Now, the flip side of that is when he's not being awesome, he's really kind of a pain, right? Because he gets scared real easy. Like, so people come down the hill and they scare him and he hackles up and he barks and he runs around behind them and he run up and bite them in the bottom, or he'll nip at their calf, or if another dog scares him, he'll run over and hide behind the tractor, you know. But then on the flip side of that, when he's happy and he's having a good time chasing a dog, like he's really kind of ornery, right? He'll run up to them, shoulder check them, reach over their back, he'll bite them on their neck and pull on them, or run up and bite them, you know, on their flank. You know, so like when he's being good, he's great. And then when he's not being good, he's not so great, okay? And the thing with him is that the threshold at which he gets excited, either in a good way or a bad way, is just really low. It takes very little to send him over into a total go to pieces, and it takes very little to make him completely manic. Right? So managing this kind of dog when he becomes an adult is going to be tough, because that decision-making loop that he enters into is very short, right? So he sees something and he immediately reacts. And so a lot of times these kind of dogs, they end up biting another dog or biting a person or a kid on a bicycle before you know it. And that's why, for the most part, they're tough dogs to have in the suburbs, okay? So I've got one dog that's just scared and nervous and bites to create space. In other words, bites because he feels threatened. And then I have another dog, and sometimes he bites because he feels threatened. And sometimes he bites because he's happy, right? So either way, you can see where those cause, you know, problems to regular suburban life. All right, so now let's get to work, and I'm going to show you kind of what we're going to do. This first week that I have these dogs, really all I do is I think in terms of like taking a child to an amusement park. And if you guys have ever taken children to amusement parks, you know the ones that don't get to go out much, when they first go to the amusement park, there's hardly any talking to them, because they're looking at every ride. They want to eat every candy. They want to eat every kind of hot dog and hamburger. They just want to do everything because they're just amazed. But then the second time you take them to that amusement park, they're a little less amazed. By the fifth or sixth time that you take them, it's kind of old hat, and they're calm and they know what rides that they want to ride. Okay? It's the same thing with these dogs. I get these dogs out and I put them in a lot of circumstances and just let them learn by doing. So today, I have to do a little bit of basic obedience training with the other dogs in the kennel. So we're going to get these dogs used to the other dogs, just letting them run around. And then around here, we integrate the dogs into our work day. So we do a lot of tractor work. We do a lot of four-wheeler work. We go to the lake a lot. And so these guys are just going to tag along and kind of get used to seeing everything. I'm not going to try to micromanage them. You can't teach a dog much, okay, when they're in that hyper-stimulated state. Think about it like a classroom. Guys, I can go to any elementary school and look in the window and tell you which kids are making good grades. It's the kids that are sitting in a chair looking at the teacher, okay? So what we're trying to do this week is just get these guys to be able to take in the environment and not be overwhelmed, and you know, kind of let them learn to look at the teacher and understand why the teacher is important, and why, you know, what I would like for them to do is going to benefit them in the long run. All right, I'm going to let a bunch of dogs out now and we'll get started. Very nice. All right, now we will start off with another doodle. This is Murphy. He's an Australian Labradoodle. He also bit somebody. You see a little bit of a pattern with these various types of poodle crosses, you know. But he's a pretty good dog. Now, we've had him for a little while. And when he first came here, it was a kind of a similar thing in that, like, there were some things that he just didn't like, some people that he didn't like. But what was the weirdest thing with this particular dog is what would kind of get him going. It's hard to tell what it was going to be. Like, we would have 20 dogs in a row come down here to see us. Come on, Murphy. We would have 20 dogs in a row come see us. And he would be cool with all 19 out of those 20. And then one out of the 20, he would have a complete go to pieces. And so it took us a long time to get him to the point to where, like, we just finally accepted the fact that we couldn't predict exactly what was gonna, you know, set him off. So we just put him in so many situations that he realized, regardless of how he felt about the situation, he just had to be good, right? And that's, sometimes you just have to make it that simple, guys. You just have to default to rote repetition and just get, you know, tons and tons of actual real life experience under your belt, so that the dog, you know, can generalize to a certain extent. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about, especially me, talk about how dogs don't generalize well. But they're like you. I mean, don't overestimate your ability to generalize, right? It's just the more situations that you're in, the better that you are able to deal with situations in general, right? The more life experience you have, the less life surprises you. All right, so we're walking him, and I want you to, hopefully, what's gonna happen with this other doodle is he's gonna kind of come in, but you can, let's see, cameraman, let's see if I go over here. Come here, dogs, come on, come on. Come here. Right, so you can kind of see how we're just letting, now that's a German Shepherd Poodle cross. Come on, Murphy. That other one over there, the black one, he's a German Shepherd Poodle cross. And so he's going to be kind of coming in and out of the frame. And I want you to watch him because he's pretty interesting too. He's another dog that came from a rescue. And he just didn't have much in the way of early life experience. He didn't have any socialization. He didn't have any basic obedience. He was kept by a lady that runs a rescue, loves dogs and stuff. But he got an awesome chance to go and live on a horse farm. But his manners were really bad, so he would bark at everybody, and he would chase the horses, and he'd chase the other dogs, and he'd just kind of be, just kind of be unfriendly, And so he's down here learning how to be friendly because he basically fell into a tub of butter. He went from living in a rescue situation with how that is, always just a nice lady with a small piece of property and a bunch of dogs, and so she does the best she can, but no dog is to be the center of attention, and they don't have a lot of resources, to a place where he has tons of resources, but if he doesn't, if he doesn't learn how to act, he can't stay there. Okay, this dog. Oh, you don't need to jump off there, dude. This dog, same thing. Kind of lives in a situation where it's pretty good for him. He's got a nice house, nice yard. He gets to go to work with his owners, and for the most part, he's a pretty good dog. He just bites people sometimes, So you have to be honest with yourself. Notice how I'm not trying to make that language flowery. I'm not trying to excuse what these dogs are doing. Okay, come here, Murphy. Like this dog, he bit an old lady. If I make it 80 years, taking the same walk in the same neighborhood, do I need to have to worry about this dog biting me, or this dog chasing me down and knocking over my walker, or that dog over there chasing me and biting me and making me fall down and hit my head? No, of course not, right? So when you're watching these kind of videos, or you're thinking about dogs that have behavior problems, I know that the people that like to think about those issues are high empathy people. You really identify with the dog. Hey, but don't be so quick to discount the negative externalities related to your neighbors and family and friends and vet staff and groomers, okay, of you having a dog bites people, that's not cool. And I'm not looking for business, right? I don't want any of y'all to contact me and send me these dogs. These are just dogs that I'm doing. I got a girl that works for me. She needs to learn about this kind of stuff, and I know some of these people, right? Okay, but I don't like doing this kind of work. It's tough work. So listen, think about that before you buy the dog. Think about that before you're too lazy to do your socialization and your basic obedience at your proper developmental stage, right? And don't be externalizing your problems onto people that didn't sign up for them. Okay, let me grab another dog and we'll keep talking. All right, so I went ahead and grabbed Beaux. Now, so you notice with Beaux, I'm trying to put him up right here in this big pile of labs, and I'm hoping some of this Labrador demeanor will rub off on him, and it will over the course of time, right? Now, another thing that I'm doing is I'm having my assistant, while I'm walking both Beaux and these doodles, I'm having her act like it's raining, okay? Because it hasn't rained any this week, and one of the things that'll kill you in the dog business, is environmental conditions, right? So this guy here, when it starts raining, he starts having to go to pieces. Basically, what's going on with these dogs that they call reactive, right? They're just like people, that when something happens, they just get tore up, And so, I got this little guy out here, and I got him doing pretty good, whenever, the conditions are nice. It's been pretty nice around here this week, and so then I go, well, I wonder what he would do if it was raining, and there's no rain in the forecast. So I just, I grab the hose, and I say, come on, Claire, make it rain. And then, first few times that happens, he'll have a little go to pieces, right? Okay. And then over the course of time, though, he'll start to get used to it, and he'll start to realize that when we're out doing stuff, there's no situation that I would put him in where he has to freak out and make something happen suddenly, We're just gonna sit here, and if we get a little bit wet, we just get a little bit wet. If some dogs run by, some dogs just run by. If somebody comes down the hill that he doesn't know, okay. If the lawnmower backfires, which gets him tore up, that's no big deal. right? Okay, this is, guys, you have to, you know, do your best to expose your dog to the broadest possible series of environmental conditions that you can think of, because like if you just wait for them to pop up, sometimes they don't pop up during the appropriate time. So when you're thinking about like dog training stages, come on, nerd, 8 to 16 weeks is super important, right? Now, most people nowadays, the safety Sallies of the world have you convinced that you're not supposed to go out with your dog very much between 8 and 16 weeks. And so, you know, your dog's kind of, by the time you start getting them out, they're already in a little bit of a deficit, right? And so you're gonna have to be really busy from 16 to 24 weeks. And that means you gotta make things happen. Okay, because if you look at socialization like a window, that window is always closing. Now, it doesn't close all the way. There's always, even with an adult dog, there's a little crack where things can get in, but it's wide open during the formative developmental stages. So if you didn't get out much between 8 and 16 weeks, make sure between 16 and 24, you make things happen, right? And so we don't have any rain in the forecast for the next few days, right? So if this dog was up here for training and it didn't rain, I would send him home without having any experience in the rain, and I'm not gonna do that, because I know at some point in his life, he's gonna be out in the rain, okay? So I just have my assistant spray us with this water hose while we're walking. And one of the things that I really like to make the dogs understand is I'm not putting them in a situation that I'm not also gonna be in. So I'm getting sprayed with the water hose, the dog's getting sprayed with the water hose, I'm modeling the behavior I wanna see. Okay, and that's very important. Don't go out in the world coddling your dog and inadvertently, you know, like reinforcing weak patterns. With these dogs, like you saw earlier, the Doodle, when his owner was dropping him off yesterday, every time that he would growl, every time that he would look nervous, every time that he was having a hard time, oh, she would like pet on him and love on him and try to make sure that she soothed him, you know, she made him feel better because she felt sorry for him. But we call that the crying baby problem. What ends up happening, you know, if you've had babies, if every time your baby cries, you pick them up and love on them, they cry all the time. Well, if you have a dog and every time that they get scared, every time that they snip and snap and look nervous, you go to trying to soothe them, well, you're inadvertently reinforcing that behavior, and that makes it worse. Now, another thing that the Doodle's owner does that's kind of, from my perspective, not a good idea, is she knows that the dog gets a little bit nervous around other dogs and kind of has a tendency to snap. This dog does the same thing. So the owners shorten up the leash whenever they see somebody coming and go to the other side of the street. Well, what do you think that teaches the dog? Dog's out walking, every time they see somebody, like you send a bunch of tension down the leash and then completely avoid them. Well, the dog's like, yeah, I knew that person was pretty sketchy. I mean, I just pretty much figured that out. And then I was right, because like Dad, he grabbed a leash and he pulled it up tight and moved me to the other side of the road. Come on, nerd. Now, you'll notice that there's, like with this little dog, like he's doing some pulling, like he's doing some resisting. When the water hits him, he goes to dart off. He doesn't necessarily want to climb the equipment, okay? And I'm not buying into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fussing at him really, and I'm not like trying to go out of my way to convince him that it's going to be okay. I'm just getting my work done, okay? And this is a very important part of addressing or preventing what people call reactivity issues in dogs. Is, you know, the dogs just need to grow up knowing that some things just have to get done. It's not always going to be their favorite, right? And no amount of whining or complaining or growling or threatening is going to change what's going to happen, right? So I want this dog to understand that if we're out walking, yeah, I mean, if he does it right, I'm going to try to love on him. I'm going to try to give him some rewards and stuff like that, okay? But ultimately, we got schoolwork to do. You know, when the dogs come here, I teach them a basic type of conversational obedience vocabulary, and then we have to master this exercise with small challenges course before we take them out to our pre-adventure area. In other words, we get up and we do the boring schoolwork, you know, every morning, and then we like work our way towards the more fun and exciting things. Okay, so this guy, like, he's going to get up, and like, you know, sometimes he's not going to really want the treat. Sometimes he's not going to really want my affection because there's all these other dogs running around and playing. Okay, it's still going to have to get done. Sometimes it's going to be raining on us, right? Okay, and this stuff's just going to have to get done. Look, see that go to pieces there? And you might say, well, Stonnie, I'm not gonna go out in the rain. Okay, well, you don't know that you're gonna go out in the rain, okay? Because sometimes it just starts raining. But I'm not even talking about the rain. I'm talking about establishing a very specific response to uncomfortableness in the environment, right? He's just gonna have a little bit of a panic attack. And I'm gonna stand here like nothing is happening. I'm gonna say, you can't escape it. You just gotta live through it, and I'm gonna model what I want him to see. If I can get wet, this dog can get wet. And if I don't have to have a go to pieces, he doesn't have to have a go to pieces. And you know, after a while, here's the thing about rain, is it always goes away. Now look, he's freaking out. Nothing's gonna happen. His respiration's up. He's a little bit worried. He's a little bit freaked out, okay? I'm not buying into any of that. And he's not gonna get off this table until he's being calm, attentive, and polite. So see right here, he's thinking he's gonna get away. I'm gonna put some slack in my leash, and we're just gonna stand here. And he's gonna accept that, or we'll stand here all day. And all I'm saying is, look, when something happens, when somebody comes in and you're scared of them, when a dog comes up and you're scared of it, or somebody comes in and you think they're shady, like you don't have to make a big deal out of it. Just relax, it's gonna be okay. I wouldn't have put you in a position where bad things would happen. Okay, so now he's been pretty good, okay? So I'm saying, okay, all right, okay. Now I'm gonna get another dog and kind of show you, you know, the difference in temperaments. All right, so here's Moose. Now I'm gonna walk Moose, and we're gonna do all the same things we did with the other puppy, right? The rain is gonna be in play, everything's gonna be in play, but I want you to notice that how Moose doesn't have, you know, the same reaction to the changes in environmental conditions. Okay, yes, I'll do you next also. Get out of the way. So we're just walking. And Moose is just a very, you know, naturally happy, outgoing, and gregarious dog, and really nothing gets him down, you know. Like, he had some hot spots when he first got here, and hot spots are very uncomfortable, and they never really affected him, not even a little bit, okay? So he gets some water on him, and he didn't react, and I say, hey, I appreciate that. And he's like, well, what do you appreciate, boss? And I appreciate you being easy to manage. I really like to make things very simple with dogs. Like, if they'll just be easy to manage, then really good things will happen to them, you know. And if it's a mutually beneficial relationship, you know. I mean, people oftentimes try to reduce obedience to these very specific cued behaviors, when that's really not what obedience is about to me. You know, what obedience is about to me is I want a dog that I know is going to be good if we go to the pizza parlor, if we go to the lake, if we go to the farm and take a hike. You know, I don't want to boss the dogs. I don't want to tell them what to do. I just want them to be good, you know, and they can be good in their own way. You know, I'm really wide open about that, okay? All right, Claire, put a little bit of extra rain on us as we walk through here so they can see the reaction to the dog. Good. Now see, so here, we're getting a lot of rain, very little reaction from Moose. Very nice, easy. And this is why in every one of these videos, I'm gonna start all these videos off telling you guys the same thing, which is, if you're really concerned about reactivity issues, you know, make sure that you pick a dog that's naturally super outgoing and super confident. You know, that's really the best advice I can give you. But if you just have to have a different kind of dog, or if you just got a big heart, you know, and you like rescuing dogs, okay, don't rescue them, stay, and then let their sob story, you know, become an excuse to not make them live up to their full potential. Okay, that's really gets me, you know. I call it the poverty of low expectations. People will come out here, and that kind of happened with Albert, you know. His owner's like, well, he had a really bad life and this and that and the other. Okay, yeah, so he had a bad life, but he didn't have a bad life now. He has an awesome life, and he needs to learn to appreciate that life and do all the things that's going to guarantee future access to that life. This little dog here, he's got awesome owners. They've already been here before. I kid them, you know, because they don't remember all the stuff I teach them, but they're good people, and they take their dogs out on lots of adventures, and they have a lot of fun, you know, and that dog, he's really a lucky dog. But if I don't help him maximize his full potential, then he's not going to get to do all the stuff that he has available to him. You know, there's a lot of Malinois in the world who you can watch on Instagram. Somebody can put some roast beef in their hands and lead them in a circle and do different stuff with them, but they can't go to the lake and play with children. They can't go to a soccer game. They can't go to the park and just be around other dogs, okay? So never get things backwards in your head, where being able to tell a dog is more important than not having to tell a dog what to do, okay? So this little dog here, now this is a field bred lab. So it's especially important that environmental conditions don't affect her, because her owner is like a kind of an avid amateur dog trainer. You know, she wants to do a little bit of hunting dog training with her, and she's not really a big hunter. She just likes the hunting dog aspects of it. Okay, so it's super important during this developmental stage that we get plenty of socialization. And if that means getting out, guys, and having your neighbor spray you with a water hose, well, that's just what it means. Because every time that you spray yourself and the dog with a water hose between, 8 and 16 weeks, it's awesome. And between 16 and 24 weeks, it's pretty good. Post that 24-week period, it's not quite as good. All right, let me put her back up here, Claire, and give us some good rain there. Come on, get up here, nerd. Good. So like, see right there, it started to get a little bit of rain on her bottom, so she wanted to shoot off this table. Now I really need this dog to understand that there's gonna be plenty of times where she's out in the field and she's gonna have to not wiggle around and not be crazy, and I don't need to fuss at her for that. I just need to get her enough experience where she doesn't feel like it's a big deal. Very good, very nice. She shows me what I like, and I'll say, hey, I appreciate that, And then look at Moose, he could care less. He's like, whatever. Very nice. Okay, now let's apply that strategy to some other stuff. So watch, I'm gonna turn my tractor on. Now, so let me get past this tractor so I can talk to you. But you notice, okay, that dog was being quiet this morning for the most part. Then when I turned the tractor on, okay, all of a sudden, that's something new, that's something different. So he starts a lark barking, letting us know, hey, something's changed, something's bad is happening. And I'm like, look, dude, ain't nothing bad happening. Tractor's just getting turned on. Now we'll turn the four-wheeler on. Come on, come on. Come on, dude. Get up there. Oh my gosh. Get up there, come on. Ugh. So now the four-wheeler's on. Okay, now it goes back to raining. The dogs are reacting okay to the rain, so I say, hey, I appreciate it. Very good. Okay, Moose, why are you in the way all the time? Okay, come on, nerd. Very good. So now I've got a tractor going. I don't know if you guys know much about tractors, but why it's important to socialize your dog to like that type of machinery is diesel motors put off these really noxious smells, right? So you could even have a dog that's really well schooled in terms of noises, right, and movement, but you get in the wrong area and you get around some construction equipment that's diesel motors, and your dog will have a go to pieces. I'm telling you, the key to all this stuff is to be super creative and make sure that like whatever you think is possible gets worked on. Not just probable, but possible, okay? Very nice. Now again, since this dog's gonna be doing some hunting dogs type stuff, we have to make sure that she can load in the kayak. I got a diesel motor going over there. When you take dogs to the lake and stuff, if you guys ever been to the lake, especially during the summer or during those fishing tournaments, you got people running everywhere with $80,000 power boats, right? Because they put in on one side of the lake and they got to go 100 miles an hour to the other side of the lake, which is weird because on the other side of the lake, somebody's putting in and going 100 miles an hour to this side. It's really weird, but anyway, if you like to do canoeing or kayaking, you're always going to run into somebody with a crazy power boat, All right, dog's got to be able to, come on, nerd, got to be able to swim, So you put him in here. Now, if that Malinois puppy comes over here, I'm going to snatch him up and throw him in here too, just to watch and see what he does. Very good dogs. Very good dogs. Okay, now, So I think, well, if I'm going to the lake, I need to be socialized with boats, need to be socialized with mowers, because they got to mow at the lake, they got to mow at the park, and I also want to take my dog paddle boarding, or I want to take him canoeing, right? So we'll go ahead and throw that in the mix, and over there you can hear what's going on. That Malinois puppy is in conflict because he kind of wants to come over here and be a part of what's going on, and he's afraid at the same time. So sometimes they're barking because they're afraid. Sometimes they're barking because they're excited. And sometimes they're in conflict and they're barking because they don't know what to do. Claire, go ahead and put a leash on that dog for me. I'm gonna turn this tractor off for a minute. There we go, make it a little bit easier to hear. All right. There we go. Come on, you can do it. Now notice when I go to helping this dog up on this little paddleboard, I'm not doing it for him. I help enough to get things done, but I don't do things for him, right? Go turn that four-wheeler off for me, Claire. All right. Now, so here we go. We got this little dog here. Now there's no amount of cajoling that's going to get this little dog to jump in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick him up. Oh my gosh, and he's going to be a little resistant. And some of you out there are going to be, Stonnie, don't put him in the pool. You haven't clicked and treated enough. Listen, guys, I got thrown in a swimming pool when I was a kid, and I didn't drown, and I feel that that's probably what's going to happen here. Very nice. So I'm going to put... I'm gonna put him in the swimming pool, and he's gonna say, Stonnie, I'm jumping out. And I'm gonna put him back in the swimming pool. Hey, and we're gonna move around a little bit, and we're gonna keep moving around until he relaxes. Very good, very good. Very good. Now, look at the difference in the demeanor of these two dogs, right? They're just different kinds of dogs, okay? You can see which one's the more affable and naturally confident style dog, right? But those dogs don't make good guard dogs. So, you know, people like what they like. Don't be getting too far out of there, nerd. Come on, you can get up on there. Let me turn them around here so you guys can see them. Good. But now, over the course of a few weeks, this dog's going to be exposed to so much that all of this stuff is just old hat to him. And he starts to realize it was never anything that was worth having to go to pieces about. And he's going to realize these other dogs are having fun. And he's going to realize all the kids that we see are having fun. Look at Sancho, you know. And he's going to be better off for it, okay? Now we're going to do the same thing with Albert. But we had to go a lot slower with Albert because he's 2 years old, you know. So we're not going to throw him in here today. All right, but that's basically our strategy for the whole first week. Ultimately, if you want a dog to end up happy, show him this dog. If you want a dog to end up happy, okay, again, first step, buy a happy dog. But if you don't buy a dog that's naturally happy, then get out and expose them to everything you can possibly think of to expose them to, okay? So that as they grow older, if they have a little bit of a natural tendency to look on the, you know, like to look on the not so bright side of life, okay? They already have so much experience with things that went wrong that one more thing going wrong ain't a big deal to them, okay? And then once a person or a dog can get over the hump of something not going their way, not being the end of the world, okay, then that person and dog, you know, they can kind of man up and become resilient, okay? So that's what we're after. We're trying to turn every dog into a happy, confident dog like this, knowing that it's not going to happen, okay? But what we can do is we can help every one of them develop mental and physical resilience and be as happy as they can be. And that's our basic strategy when it comes to dealing with what people refer to as reactive dogs. Okay, so that's our first week strategy. Now next week we're going to focus more on our formal basic obedience, and I'm going to put some footage maybe in this clip about how we take the dogs out and walk them with the tractor and load them up and ride them on the four-wheeler and stuff. Okay, but okay, sum it all up, get your dog out, do a lot of stuff, and be creative. Don't wait on things to happen, make it happen. All right, I'll see you guys next week.